Wonderful. Well, welcome everybody. I'm so glad you're joining me today. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Reyna Franco. I am the registered dietitian nutritionist at Ogilvy, and I'm here to answer all your nutrition questions. And today we're going to talk about maintain, don't gain. And someone actually wrote into me and said, "Well, what about uh, this person isn't eating as much as she should? How about also not losing weight?" So it's just about how to maintain your weight during this time of you know, uncertainty. So let's see, let's go with that. So how does one maintain their weight while working remotely? So this is really all new for all of us. We're at home. We're a lot more sedentary than we were while we were at the office, because I was just chatting before with Kirsten that we had our commute, and that commute from train station to the office is a pretty substantial commute. So if that's all you were doing for walking during the week, that is still a lot more than what we're doing now, just sitting at home. And here is a picture of a person with a dog. And I think those of us who do have dogs, I don't, but those that do are fortunate because they're kind of forced to go out to walk. So that's very helpful. Maybe you could, make believe you had a dog and go out for a walk. We'll talk about how to move more a little bit later on. But a lot of this is we don't have the same structure. There's so many differences, and it impacts how we're eating and how we're moving. So I like to talk about, or a lot of people like to talk about, this 80-20 rule. Well, first of all, there's no science behind the 80-20 rule. I don't know where these numbers come from, but they really seem to work anecdotally. Uh, if you look at what you're eating and your weight and how much you move, about 80% of what you're consuming is impacting uh, your weight, and the other 20% is the movement. So right now, we're moving less. So we have to focus more on what we're eating. So this is a great place for people to type in the chat box. I like to get a little bit interaction if possible. Um, so these are different problems that we might find. You know, not enough healthy food, too much snack food, we're bored, we're stressed, we're sleeping late, there's less structure to the day, we don't have a fitness center. What do you see is problems with either losing, maintaining, gaining weight during this time period? So Reva just mentioned portion sizes. Oh, yep, absolutely. Anything else? We just like type in your thoughts, like what, or if it's something here that you find is an issue, type that in too, so we could talk more about it. Does anybody here find that stress is causing them to eat more, or boredom, lack of structure, or different type of structure? Yeah, all of the above. Okay. Not enough veggies. True. And only non-perishable carbs, like pasta and rice, and snacking too much and too many people around. Yep, absolutely. Boredom leads to snacking, definitely. Yep. Not everyone in the house wants to be cooking healthfully, bulk cooking, baking. Absolutely. Yep. Yep. Yeah. So this is there's a lot of big changes. We have some people have family around, so you're cooking more for the family, or they're doing some cooking. Big changes. So we got to figure out, how are we going to deal with all this? Well, number one, we do have to create some structure. The first 2 weeks working from home, I I was really very challenged with eating, and for me, I found myself, well, for me, breakfast is really very easy. I don't have any problem with breakfast. So that's, I get up and I eat. But for me, it's all the other meals and snacks throughout the day. I find that, or I was finding at the time that, I would, eat a snack around 10 o'clock, and I'd be hungry again at 12, and then again at 2, and then 4. And I really wasn't eating any meals. And that was part of why I was snacking so much. I also probably wasn't even snacking on the healthiest foods either. Um, so what I started realizing is that I have to put in my calendar, actually make sure you have lunch, make sure you have a snack
Mhm.
at 3 o'clock, make sure you have your dinner at this hour. This is the time you start cooking. So I actually put that into my calendar to remind myself that I have to eat. And then I started planning out the meals. So planning is really important. I've always talk about this, constantly, but even more so now. So we really can't go out shopping, every day or twice a week. We probably only want to go out once a week if possible. So it's really important to plan all your meals in advance and also your snacks. And so what I've found really useful is I created an Excel spreadsheet and I put in my meals and I put in my snacks. And so for a whole week, or try to expand it to 2 weeks if possible, I entered in those meals and snacks so I know what I'm going to eat. It's not as exciting, but it really does help with, eating healthfully, and also gives me the ability to create a shopping list. So having that shopping list is also critical for when you go to the supermarket because you don't want to be spending too much time in the supermarket. You want to just grab your food. You don't want to buy any uh, junk food that's off the shopping list. You want to stick to that shopping list. And then the other thing, talking about scheduling, is creating movement in your life. So that's something else I talk about all the time is putting movement and exercise in your schedule. But that's even more important now since we really are sitting more on our butt. Um, if you could put in your schedule times during the day to, get up, stretch. If you have like talking about a dog, going out walking a dog, or going out taking your own stroll, being really mindful about where you're walking, of course, and staying in places where you don't have too many people. But even a walk around the block on a nice sunny day like today, it's just gorgeous out. So if you can find some time to take a little stroll, or maybe first thing in the morning, schedule some time to do some yoga, or at night some relaxation techniques and some stretches. We'll talk more about movement later, but again, you want to put that on your schedule. And one slide, let's go. There we go. All right, so we talk about shopping lists. So I have a couple slides here of foods to put on your list. And one of the things that someone mentioned in the chat box was, not having enough fruits and vegetables. And I know that was, an issue because a couple things. One, we're afraid that we'll buy too many and it'll go to waste. The other one is we really are not, and this is my case, I'm not buying enough for the week because I don't realize how much I actually need. So now I'm tending towards overbuying fruits and vegetables. So fresh fruits and vegetables are great, but you certainly could get frozen vegetables and fruits and canned fruits and vegetables. Great thing about frozen and canned is that they're non-perishable, so you could keep them, almost forever. Dried fruits and vegetables are also a good option. They're fun to snack on. Canned goods, so low sodium pasta sauces. I don't know why that's under vegetables, but it's not a vegetable. Um, but that should go under pantry items. Anyway, so canned diced tomato salsa. Salsa is great. You could use that as a dip. You could put it on top of salads, and 100% fruit juice is certainly fine too. So you just want to be mindful of that. I like the rose. Whoops. Pizza is a vegetable. Yeah, I agree. That's what I'm making for dinner tonight, actually. I'm making, so this is something else that I purchased, frozen pizza dough. I would prefer whole wheat, but they didn't have that. They only had white, so I'm not thrilled about that. And I'm going to make pizza. And I will be using cheese, although I'm trying to stay dairy-free as possible, but I have a family who, that's what they want. And I'm going to put vegetables on top. I'm going to have some mushrooms and spinach and peppers and onions and lots of garlic. So that is my dinner for the evening. Um, anyway, moving on to proteins, canned beans is something else that's really very simple, and even better are dried beans. I think dried beans are so delicious once you take the time to soak them and cook them. But there are a lot of really good plant-based proteins. And then you want some milks. It could be dairy type milks or plant-based milks. Make sure in all cases the milks are unsweetened. Plant-based or dairy yogurts, cottage cheese. Then the big thing is lots of whole grains. So whole grains, again, this is something that, is non-perishable. So you could buy it. I know that I thought I had too much pasta and I found myself cooking a lot of pasta. I'm actually starting to run out. So you buy it, you're going to use it. We're going to be in our homes for a while. And then staples. So some healthy oils, maybe oil spray, some good vinegars, and lots of spices. So all different types of spices. And that's how you could change up the flavors of the foods. Because I know for myself, I'm starting to get bored of the typical things I like to make. So I'm going through my spice rack and figuring out, how I could change things around and use my spices creatively. So part of eating healthfully and not gaining weight, maintaining our weight is eating mindfully. So you really want to be able to focus on your food. And of course, it starts with having your shopping list and mindfully going through the supermarket, using your list and sticking to your list. And then listening to your body. So when I talked about structure before, and that's where that can be really useful. Um, are you hungry? So let's say I had breakfast at 7 o'clock, and then at 8 o'clock I'm feeling hungry. It's like, well, am I hungry or am I stressed? What's going on there? So think about how you're actually feeling, and then say, okay, I am hungry, so I'm going to have a snack. So I'm going to just really take the time and pay attention to the food I'm eating. I'm going to taste it. So that's a lot of it. It's like a lot of times we eat and we don't even taste our food. We're just gobbling it down. And someone mentioned portion sizes. Taste your food. Start with a small portion, enjoy it, chew it. It could take, give yourself about 20 to 40 chews of that food to get the flavors of it. So it's important again to taste it, smell it, get the flavors in your mouth, and really appreciate the food that you're eating and being thankful for what we have. We're really in a tough situation now, and we're going to all get through this. And we have to be thankful that we do have the ability to eat, we have our jobs, and we're here together. Although we're not in the office together, we're for each other. And I'm very thankful to have all of you here right now today. So to slowly eat slowly, put your fork down in between bites, and you know, acknowledge that that food tastes really good and you're enjoying it. That way, when you finish eating, you can be thankful for the tasty food that you just have on your plate. So then, stress. Does stress make you eat more or less? So let's see if everybody could put something in the stress box, the chat box. What does stress do for you? Does it Are you eating more because of it? Are you eating less? Does it not impact you? You're able to manage stress without, eating. You know, some people eat more, eat less, snack, not enough real food. Yeah, I go either way. Usually, I usually eat less when I'm stressed. Um, it's a way of control for me, so I don't eat as much when I'm stressed. Uh, but then when I do find a snack, I I might pick either something that's not healthy that I think will bring me pleasure. Problem with that is that food is not alleviating the stress. So yeah, that ice cream tastes really good, but it didn't take away the stress that I have at that moment. So that didn't really work. Um, so a lot of this is working on stress reduction. So if you find that you're eating because of stress or eating less because of stress, give it some thought. What is causing that stress? And I'm just reading some more chat responses. Thank you. So what's causing the stress? So quite often now we can either be completely isolated. You might be the only person in your apartment or home, or now you're surrounded by your kids because your kids are off from school. Both cases cause stress. So consider what you could do to alleviate that stress. Eating's not going to do it for you. So if you're home alone, things like reading, picking up the phone, doing FaceTime with friends, connecting with friends. One of the first things I did, the first couple of weeks, actually it was the second week. The first week I was just so confused. The second week I started making phone calls to friends who I haven't spoken to in a long time. And that was really nice, connecting to these true friends who live on in other places in the United States. Um, so that was helpful. On the other hand, if you're surrounded by your family, you might be overwhelmed with your kids always wanting to help you with something and play with you. Sounds like you might need more time on your own. You might need mom time, or if there are any dads on the line, some private dad time. It can be hard if you're in a small home or apartment. Again, I look at where I live, um, and it's very small. You might need to just put on headphones and put on the TV or do something just and tell your family, "This is my time. Don't bother me." Uh, you might have to be really strict about that because it's your time. You need your time. There's just so many things that could be causing stress. Maybe there's a family member who's not well. You want to see I want to see my parents, but I can't. You want to see friends, but you can't. All these things cause stress. So again, finding ways to reduce that stress or handle the stress, manage it without eating. So one of them could be focusing on being mindful. That's one. If you're eating too much when you go to the supermarket, don't purchase those foods that you tend to overeat. So those Doritos, yeah, if you could just have a little handful of them, that's fine. But if you find you're eating the whole box of them or bag of them, that's not the most helpful um, item to select. Now, if you're not eating enough, consume calorically dense foods like nuts and seeds, nut butters, avocados. So calorically is calorically and nutrient dense foods. Because another calorically dense food would be ice cream. Um, but you're better off for your health and for your mind and for your immunity. Eating nuts, seeds, nut butters, avocados, and adding good fats to your foods like olive oil. So that's going to help with your maintaining your weight. And then we talk about moving. So let's do that right now. I want everybody to get up. Everybody stand up and stretch. We're going to do just some arm circles. Move your arms forward. I'm going to see if I could, am I doing my video here? I don't know if you can see me. Let's see. Yeah, there we go. So, there we go. Let's all get stand up. Do some arm circles going forward. Oh, it actually feels good. And now let's do some arm circles going back. Great. And while you do now, it's a march in place too. So I did an exercise routine using Fitness Blender yesterday, and they had us doing arm circles without weights. I think it was for a minute in one direction and a minute in the other direction. Boy, that was tough. All right, so you can put your arms down. Let's do some up and down with the arms. Keep marching. Don't stop marching. And you could just do this, every hour. Just get up off your chair and just move a little bit. It's really important for your posture and gets your blood flowing. You'll just feel so much better. Let's do some tricep kickback. So it's like going like this with your arms. With your triceps, right? Like, keep on marching. Maybe do some kick your butt with your feet when you're doing this. All right, now we're gonna do some high knees and bicep curls. Right, and like I said, just go out. You can even plan this in your computer. If you're working on your computer every like hour for 2 minutes, just get up and do something. All right, great. Thank you, everybody. You could keep moving if you want, even though I'm sitting down. All right, let me just close this. There we go. So, all right. So let's say you're watching TV. That's a good time to get up and, even not even during commercials. A lot of times we're watching movies or watching TV shows. Just get up and do some squats or do some sit-ups or just like as we were just doing now, move around, do those arm circles, march, do something to just move your body while you're watching TV. Um, Another thing is, for anybody, push-ups are a great exercise. I know a lot of people hate them, but they use your upper body and they use your core and your back. They're like a full body workout. So, that's something else that you could do. Get down. You could do knee push-ups. You could do wall push-ups. There are a lot of ways to do that. Turning on some music and dancing. There are, dance church. I don't know if anybody's heard of dance church. So one of my clients told me about this. I think once a week they, it's on. I think it's a meetup, but it's online. And you go to dance church and you put it on and you dance with other people in your own apartment. There's, if you like to do Zumba, there are Zumba videos. There's a lot out there, or just, a lot of musicians are streaming their music. So you could go online, you could find, your type of music you like or an artist you like and just put that on and dance and have a good time. I talked about having your kids around. Get active with your kids. If you're lucky enough to have a backyard, go run around that backyard of your children. If you live in the city, take carefully take walks with your kids. Um, Find parks, not playgrounds, but find parks where there's nobody else around, and play with the kids. Toss the ball with the kids. Just again, you got to be really, really careful, not to be around other people. There's a lot of exercise videos online, and I mentioned one called Fitness Blender. So that's not on YouTube. It happens to be on their own website. So there's that one. There's Peloton is now offering free exercise classes. There's so many online, and that's a real nice way to incorporate exercise. The one thing I like about Fitness Blender is that you could choose the intensity, you could choose the type of exercise, the length of time, and whether or not you need equipment or no equipment. So yesterday I did one. It was a long one. It's like 90 minutes, which you could pick one that's 10 minutes. It was 90 minutes and no equipment. So, and I really, really, really felt it. So you don't need to have any equipment at home to do really good exercise and feel great afterwards. If you live in an apartment building, take the stairs or use the stairs as your exercise. So I'm on the 16th floor. So, I could take the stairs up to 16 and then take the stairs back down because I don't want to, hit the button in the in the elevator and just don't touch the railings. But yeah, doing laps in the building. So you could, do things like that. Does anybody else have any suggestions of ways to move? Anybody using any websites or videos that they could share with everybody they happen to like for exercise? You just type it into the chat box. Just Dance. Okay. Thank you. I'm going to check that out. Anything else? YouTube playing the video. And nice. All right. Oh, wow. Very cool. That's great. Dance classes. I love that. I bet you there's, all different types of dance classes. Anything else? Cool. Great. Well, this is a time for questions. And if you go ahead and unmute yourself, if you have any questions, or if you want to type in your question, that's fine too. Um, but yeah, it's time for you to ask me anything. Oh, wow. Verizon Bios has a promotion through the end of April of free access to a fitness channel. Great. So if anybody has Bios, that is a nice way to get some exercise in. Yeah, I have Spectrum. Any questions, thoughts? All right. Well, if nobody has any questions, um, you know where to find me. And you could always, oh, here we go. Okay, will the deck be sent out? A couple of things first. The free headspace for meditation, that's great. And will the deck be sent out? Yes, it will be. Should we be eating 3 meals a day? So if, I'll ask that question in a moment. Mental health is equally as important. Absolutely. Um, that's extremely important because the stress is impacting us greatly. Uh, so should we be eating 3 meals a day? Um, some people eat, well, it depends. If you always ate 3 meals a day, yes. I mean, I'm eating 3 meals a day. Some people will just eat 2 meals a day, two big meals, and have a snack. Um, it depends a lot on how many calories you also need. So a smaller person is going to need less calories than a big person. So a big person probably should be eating 3 meals a day. Might be harder for them to um, squeeze in all the calories they need into 2 meals, but it's not impossible. There's a question here about intermittent fasting. Does intermittent fasting work when you do it every day, or do you need to take breaks for it to be effective? It does work if you do it every single day. So intermittent fasting, there are multiple ways of doing it. The most common way is to eat all your food within 8 hours during the day. And so that would mean, let's say, start having your first meal at 9, ending at 5, or your first meal at 11 and ending at 7. What I suggest generally is start earlier than late. Now, that could be challenging when you have a family to cook for, but the reason why I suggest starting earlier than late is that due to our circadian rhythm, insulin, which is a hormone, that gets the sugar from what we eat into our cells to be used for energy. And insulin works really well earlier in the day. And recently they found that insulin works a lot based on our circadian rhythm. So as the day progresses, insulin doesn't work as well. So later in the day, particularly in the evening, what's happening is insulin is not working as strongly. So you have more sugar circulating in your bloodstream. So that's why I suggest, having, when you're doing fasting, intermittent fasting, ending earlier. And the same thing goes with even ending you're having your last meal, 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock, and not having a snack afterwards. All right, question: is there a particular calorie goal for smaller people, um, particularly women, should be reaching towards? Again, that is a very personal question because some people might be trying to lose weight, some are trying to gain weight, some people exercise a lot. Uh, if you want, best thing to do is send me an email, and we can schedule an appointment, and either we could talk about it over the phone, or we could talk about that personally. Any tips in addition to mindful eating for avoiding sugar? That's a great question. Um, Well, the easiest one is don't have in the house. However, that's not always practical. Um, the next one is trying to wean yourself off the sugar. There's nothing super duper wrong with having a little bit of sweet every now and then. It's all about the quantity, um, and how frequently you're doing it. So if you are having, let's say, 2 teaspoons of sugar in your coffee, what I suggest is slowly reduce the amount of sugar. So instead of 2 teaspoons, let's go down to a teaspoon and a half, and do that for a week. And then you'll get used to that flavor. And then reduce it down to a teaspoon and do that for another week. And to keep reducing it until your taste buds change. So that's one thing. Another, is again, why, number one, why do you want to avoid sugar? What's causing you to eat the sugar, and addressing those issues. So again, if it's something personal, I suggest getting in touch with me, and we can schedule something. Like I said here on the screen, I'm doing telephone sessions. We could chat, figure out what's best for you. These are all great questions. Any other questions? Well, this is wonderful. If anybody has any other interesting topics they would like me to do for a webinar, feel free to email me. I'll be happy to do another presentation on anything you're interested in. Obviously something that I have education on. But thank you everybody for coming today. It's great seeing you, hearing from you, and I want everybody to stay healthy, stay safe, stay strong, keep moving. And I'm always here for you. So feel free to send me an email, and we can make a schedule something to chat. All right. Bye everybody.
Bye, Reyna.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you, Reyna.
Thank you for coming.
Thank you for having us.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Thanks for coming.